Hey everyone, I'm Adrian, the founder of The Proof, and I'm here with my friend Steph.
Hey guys, I'm Steph from Levitate Foundry, and I'm here with our friend Samuel Krost. What's up, Sam?
Everything is good. Thank you very much for having me.
Super
Thanks for
hyped to
being
have
on
you
the
on.
yeah, thanks for being on the series. It's honestly, I'm so excited to chat with you today. I know we've been doing a lot of work together on the cross side of things, and I've always been such a fan of the brand. So thanks
Thank
for the
you.
opportunity to work together. So to kick off, do you want to give us a quick rundown of your background and what ultimately led you to start the brand?
Yeah, great question. Well, I grew up in a small little town in New Jersey. I like to call it a little bubble, small community there. Most of the homes there are people's summer homes, but I was one that grew up there all year round. I grew up an athlete. My dad was a D1 college player, coaching a lot of like a lot of my basketball career and baseball, and never really was a New York guy. I have an older brother, and he was more into the arts, and always running to New York back and forth. But I ended up s- somehow applying early decision to NYU, and I like to say that that was my first time stepping out of the bubble, really, when I went to college, and when I just became aware of what was actually happening in the world around me. Um, it was the beginning of the Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter movement, the women's movement, call for gun reform. There was just a lot happening. And I am in that age where I didn't grow up with social media, and then I had social media. And I went back to my school recently, and I actually spoke to the entire high school. And when I was sitting in their seats, like, I wasn't aware of what was happening in the world, but they're sitting there now, and they are entirely aware of everything that's happening just in the palm of their hand. So I think that that was really kind of what gave me my kind of wake up moment, and was obviously affected by a lot of the things that were happening in the world, and not such great things. And I was incredibly inspired by the youth specifically, and that's really where the beginning of I think our brand story started.
I never knew that story. That's really inspirational actually. That's awesome. So so tell me about building Cross. Team, workflow. I mean, how long did it take you to build the brand? How did you build the brand? And what are the differences? How have you grown over time? What are the differences now between when you first launched the brand versus where you are today? Obviously, the team has grown. You have some really great
Yeah,
members of the team. How did you hustle? How did you bring it to life?
team is the number one most important thing in the entire world. I think that surrounding yourself with the right people is something that I have always worked tirelessly in my life and my journey of making friends along the way from where I grew up to college to post college. And applying that to the team is very difficult. I mean, I guess they say if you have like two best friends, you're lucky. I'm very fortunate to have many best friends who inspire me every single day, that give me the confidence in what I'm doing as well. The team, though, is what makes me most proud. I kind of look at my job as an engineer, right? And my job to build the engine. And every single part of that engine is so important. If one part of that engine doesn't work, the whole thing doesn't work. And that's kind of the analogy that I run with here. Um, but just last year it was design a collection, produce a collection, shoot a collection, release it, and then go, do it over, right? I mean, now, I'm pretty much done through the end of 2022 at this point. So I think that says lot about how we've grown up. As you know, Steph, this year for us, since the beginning of January, was a grow up year, like we say here. Putting the infrastructure in place, from a digital marketing partner to a new ecom partner to a press partner to moving into our office to making some real hires to a team that's about 10 now, to where last just November, we were like working out of my apartment. So it's incredibly inspiring to see the progression of the brand and how we've started. I think I take it as a compliment to people. When I tell them that we're just in the beginning of our third year, and they say, I thought you guys like were around for 5, 6, 7 years already. I guess I take it as a compliment in the sense that we've been able to do a lot. Um, and I'm really excited about kind of the vision and the conviction that we have for the vision over the next at least 18 months.
Yep.
I'm curious.
I love that. I love that.
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry, Steph. I'm curious specifically on the hiring front. This is something I'm dealing with, and Steph has a ton of experience in. Kind of like, what advice would you offer now that you're managing and have hired like 10 or so people? Back when you were making your first hire, like, are there specific criteria you look for? What would you have told yourself 3 years ago?
I'm a big people person, so I've never looked at a resume, ever. They always like send a resume. More interested in like looking at a portfolio just to understand, the skill set that they have. I think that as a growing company, like I know what we need. So at this point, I used to take any help I could because for the first 2 years, it was, primarily me and one other doing absolutely everything. So being a people person, because this brand is about family and collaboration and partnership, hiring people that also have the same kind of core values and ethics as you do, because we're a socially responsible brand. And we speak about various different social issues. So when you have people who believe in those issues as well, it makes your job a little bit easier. But at this point, we need specific skill sets here as it relates to content or technical design or web development. So the way that I operate is I'm very transparent about what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. I allow people to really be the boss within their own department. I like to give the example of like, I've never built a website before, so who the hell am I to go tell you what to do, right? So I let people own their space, lead their space, come together, put everything out on the table, make the best decision that we can collaboratively, and at the end of the day, yes, I have to make the last final decision. If that goes wrong, then that's on me. So that's kind of the way that we do it here.
I love that. Don't look at a resume. Go
I
with
don't
the
look at a resume.
person and who they are, what their character is. Because I totally agree with that. I mean, having now hired so many people, and you make mistakes, you go along.
You've done a great job, Steph. Doesn't seem like you need any help in that department. Everybody that I work with on the Levitate team is absolutely wonderful, really wonderful, loyal, dedicated, brilliant. So you do a great job there, Steph.
Oh, Sam, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Well, you have Hallie. She's amazing. I mean, honestly, I'm so lucky. I think people believe in Levitate. They believe in what we do, best in class digital marketing for brands like KROST. So no, we're really lucky. Hiring is really hard. I deal with this every single day, is like, how do you balance? That is exactly it. Character, where you come from. Like, I interviewed somebody this morning at like 7 a.m. and I was like, where are you from? What do you do? What do you like? Like, those are not questions that anybody asked me, out of school. Like who do you hang out with? Right?
That's that. I should dig in with you on that. Because I don't feel like I'm a strong interviewer. Like I just kind of catch a vibe, and I don't think that I even ask good enough questions, to be honest. I'm gonna follow with you on some of those.
Let's chat about that tomorrow. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so going back, so I know a lot of our viewers want to understand just how do entrepreneurs build brands, right? So a large component of what you've been really able to do and very successfully is the Barney's collaborations and drops that you've done. What's your strategy around that? How did you? I'm sure there's a lot of viewers out there that are wondering, how did Sam get into Barney's? How do I get into Barney's? How do I collaborate with Barney's? How do I walk myself into Nordstrom? How do I land a retailer? Like, what do you have to do to do such a collaboration?
Great question. We've been very fortunate with the collaborations that we've had. We've been contacted. I haven't, really taken a stab at contacting brands that I would really like to collaborate with. So, when these opportunities came, one, super grateful, right? Barney's was purchased by Authentic Brands Group, which is a multi-billion-dollar licensing company. They have their hand in everything. They're acquiring brands left and right. Barney's was an incredible opportunity, kind of like a a full circle story for me. To touch on it quickly, I went to NYU. I took a licensing class as a sophomore in NYU. Nick Woodhouse is the president of ABG and spoke to our class. I berated his email. I contacted him every single day. I spoke with him recently in an interview like this. We did a podcast together. And I said, this guy probably wishing never put his email on the board at the end of that class. I went to the ABG offices as a sophomore, knocked on like the front door, convinced them to like let me meet with somebody in HR, and tried to convince her to give me an internship at ABG. And if you walk into the ABG offices, even this morning, you have the KROST brand name like right in their like front lobby with the whole collection on display. So for me, that was an incredible like personal full circle story. But they contacted us. They told us about their plans for Barney's to relaunch at Saks Fifth Avenue. A big push during Fashion Week, September. Obviously, everything got pushed because of COVID. And we look at collaborations with and the different opportunities that they have. With the Barney's one, right? First and foremost, everything has to be story focused, right? Everything that we do has a mission. Every collection that we release is inspired by what's happening in the world with the goal of increasing awareness around different social causes. So everything has to have a story, has to make sense. The authenticity has to be there. That's something that we're very lucky that people have seen, right? Because with everything that's happening around in the world, you see a lot of brands coming out and saying X, Y, Z, but this is how our brand was born. And we've been doing this since the end of 2019. So I don't want to say it works in our favor with what's happening, because obviously I wouldn't want some of the things that are happening in the world to happen, but the authenticity, is paramount to everything that we do in story. From a business standpoint, though, with Barney's, I said, okay, this is a opportunity to break into retail. And I think that we want to be in certain spaces, right? Never put the brand in a position or put the brand at risk, right? I mean, ironically, you look at Barney's, that went into bankruptcy, any of the brands that were on that credit, like they never recoup that money. Those brands could be put out of business in a situation like that. So as we look at Barney's, I looked at the opportunity to break into retail. I said, I'll never go into a retailer that I can't build my own retail inside that retail, because that's what we're very good at. We build our own pop-up shops. We call them concept retail stores because we build different experiences. We've done 4 here in Soho and 1 in London. That was the best performing part of the model prior to COVID. Now COVID hits, now Barney's comes. Okay, we could get the product back into retail because it does really well when it's in person. And, we want to do that inside the stores, like no returns, no guaranteed sell-throughs, just terms that like net 30, right? Because we're financing this production ourselves. So just looking at it very carefully. And, that was a big opportunity that's over the Barney's collab. And luckily, even during COVID, we still were able to sell into Selfridges in London. Barney's has 7 flagships in Japan. So we're in Japan now as well. This fall, we'll be in Harvey Nichols. We will be in End Clothing. We're working on a few other big ones right now. And I think that, the vision ultimately for KROST is to obviously live online, but be placed in kind of premier retailers. And of course, with the second Barney's collection, we finally, launched here at Saks Fifth Avenue, which is really cool. So that's, I know I've kind of veered off, but to answer, every collaboration has to have a mission, a purpose, and then from a business standpoint, they have different opportunities for us. Barney's being that, Fila being a globally recognizable brand, and to be able to be the brand tap to like release their newest silhouette for the year, like that's a big opportunity for us. So
I love it.
Cariuma, sustainability, everything with a purpose.
I love it. No, you're the person that does everything with purpose for sure. But the biggest takeaway from that is, man, you're just a huge hustler. End of story. Like
We hustle, we try,
hustle,
trying to
call
make it
the guy 10
happen.
times, make
So
it happen.
roller coaster
Email
stuff,
him 20 times.
Your best days,
Yeah.
your best days are. I've had like my best days like followed by like my worst days. Like it's just a roller coaster. I spoke with a friend about this last night too. So one of my friends is opening incredible experience in retail, and he was saying with his wife, and his wife's like, I need structure, like I can't hustle like this. I was like, yeah, I think the difference between like people who really do go after it, who make it, who don't make it, is like you gotta be able to take the punches, man. You gotta be able to take the punches. Not everything's gonna go your way. Everything does happen for a reason. You can't let one thing block you from all the other things that you have to do. Like you gotta just roll with it and just hold on tight, make it happen. We made it this far already. Like, come on, we
Yeah.
could do it.
It's only going to be that hockey stick from here. I mean, you've built an incredible brand. You got a great team behind
Trying,
you.
you know.
It's just spreading the message, spreading the mission. And you actually have a really, really purpose-driven message that I think the world needs to know about. Do you want to talk a little bit about that message and why is it, what is that like family friend mission? Do you want to speak a little bit about that?
Yeah. Support your friends is a brand slogan. You know, I just touched on kind of KROST, right, which is more of a mainline collection. This year we actually, separated, KROST from support your friends by KROST is actually stuff the next collection that we'll be releasing, which is solely focused on this message, this story about accessibility, affordability, about inclusivity, right? A lot of brands have basics collections, it is what it is. Ours is absolutely beautiful. It is our best product to date. It is the greatest fabrics. It's, sourced locally, milled and cut and sewn in LA, produced next to some really big name brands as well. But, we are eating on the margin, cutting the retail price, making it a product that more can afford. It's going to be a big digital play, with Levitate as well. But it's really just focused on the story of the brand and the message itself. And this, my ultimate dream is, for every student across the country and hopefully the world, like to walk into school with like support your friends, like just printed across their chest on a hoodie or a backpack or their pens and paper, whatever it may be. It's just a super important message that means so many different things to so many different people. And I'll never forget when we launched, somebody came into our first pop-up shop, took a photo of like the message, went on Instagram, tagged us, and like the whole caption was just like huge, just like what support your friends meant to this person, entirely different from me and for what the brand, like the brand has its own definition of it too. And I think that's the beauty in it. It's how you interpret it and how I interpret it are two different things. But for the brand itself, what it means to us, March for Our Lives, our first official partnership, the organization that truly did inspire the actual story of the brand, that gave me my light bulb moment of what support your friends meant to me, actually, because it was really just a message that I, goofed around with friends growing up. But it's a matter of being able to support one another based on your shared beliefs, your desire to see the same change. And I may never have the opportunity to meet you, but that is enough to call you a friend. And I think that that's the goal there, trying to build a community. And I know people use the word community a lot, but build a group of like-minded individuals who stand for the same thing and want to see the same change, who are aware of what's going on in the world and want to leave the world a better place, for those who come next. And that's what that message means to us here. And that's the backbone of the brand for sure.
It's a very, very uplifting message, actually. It's uplifting, it's positive. And I know that you actually mean it because I know you and I know that it's very unique. And I feel like if only we could all support each other more, like genuinely, like the way you do with your friends.
Like, yes, Steph.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So
If
I know we got
only.
a couple minutes left. Do you want to talk about some of the big wins that KROST over the last 6 months, and what do you have in store for the rest of the year going into next year?
Yeah. 6 months. Well, I think that at the end of December, that's when you and I first connected, right? We had the goal of like, let's get the best of the best, try to put the all-star team together, Levitate being a huge part of that, and the plan for this year, which has been great, Steph. So thank you again for working with us. But I would say the team, right? Creating a home together here in the office, which has been great. Putting that infrastructure in place, hopefully starting those engines I think from a production standpoint, like being able to look at the end of 2022 already, like that to me is just like, is crazy. We spread our production around as well. You know, we used to have all of our eggs in one basket. So different manufacturing partners are doing different things for us. It's kind of just like building on the supply chain a lot. The Fila launch for us in February was, you know, the first time we launched and sold out in a day, which was super cool. This Barney's collection is one I'm most like probably like, I feel it feels most me. You know, kind of just like, I'm styling this, I'm doing it. Like, I'm not asking for anyone's opinions right now. Like, this one's mine, guys. I'm sorry, which is like kind of against everything I kind of preach around here. So that was just exciting to just like kind of take control, and I really liked that one a lot. And man, the basics, you know, creating that story, it's almost like launching another brand. That's what's being focused on right now.
Yeah.
And then we got, here's like sneak peek, our next
Woo!
2 colorways coming out.
Look at
The
that.
Fila, with a big apparel collection with it this time too. So that's cool. And then the distribution side of things, like really placing the brand on like a globally, you know, South
I was
Korea,
gonna say global.
Japan, London, New York,
Yep.
a few other spots in the US as well. So that's really cool. Just getting a grip of that. That takes a lot of growing up, you know, internally, logistics.
Yep.
You know, things that we, you know, when you do sell to retailers, like a lot of moving parts. So that's been an educational experience over the last few months. But yeah, I mean, a lot happening, a lot to do. Everything moving in the right direction is kind of how I've replied to everyone asking how things are going. And I think that's always been the strategy, slowly but surely. And, you know, it's not a race, and just try to do things with a clear head on, you know. I think the way that we look at the market and where we want to go and what the vision is for the next 18 months, I think we have real conviction towards that. And I think the one good thing that we are good at here is executing, you know. So as long as everyone has conviction towards, you know, what the vision is, I do believe and have confidence that we can execute on it.
I love it. I was gonna say you're ready for global domination because the brand itself is ready. The aesthetic is there. It's just about the distribution and getting enough inventory to go there. So chat more about that tomorrow.
We had our projections. We're going big. Steph, listen, visual marketing from when, you know, you're taking people to a website and there's inventory, like it's working, you know.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Every
Hopefully
time I go to your
turn the
website,
corner.
you're sold out. I'm like, you're always sold out. All the good colors. Yeah. It's a good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not when you're spending money on digital marketing. It's not.
That's true. That's a whole other conversation, but it does create exclusivity, right? And people want it.
Yeah, but that's the vision for the basics line. Like, this will be on site all year round for you.
Good.
So there'll always be something there. But thank you, guys. This was fun.
Thank you. Thanks, Sam.
Appreciate it. For nothing.
Appreciate it,
Thank
man.
you. Appreciate the
soon.
opportunity. Yes. Speak to you
All right.
tomorrow. Adrian, great to meet you.
Likewise. See you, Sam.
Bye, guys.